AITA for telling my neighbor I'm not taking or picking her son up from school anymore. I am 43F and close friends with my neighbor, 42F, and we both have kids that attend the same high school. We don't live far from the school, but it's not really walking distance. My neighbor has work early in the morning and there's no one home when her son has to go to school, so I've always let him ride with me and my son. As for picking him up, my son has football practice directly after school, so I don't need to pick him up. However, my neighbor's son doesn't have any practices, so I find myself going to just pick him up often. His dad can pick him up, but his dad also works a lot and goes on business trips almost every other week. So again, it's mostly just me. Earlier this week, my neighbor was off work and I asked her if she minded taking my son to school with hers since I had a work call that morning I had to take. She said no, which kind of had me taken aback since I figured she'd just do it. I asked her why and she told me, "You're home, you can take him." I was honestly just speechless, and so I took my son that day and she took hers. I called her later that day and told her I thought it was pretty rude that she wouldn't take my son when I take hers every single day. She told me that her son doesn't have any other option, while mine does. I told her she should show some appreciation for me because if it weren't for me, her son would be walking 3 miles to and from school every day. She still kept repeating the same thing, that I'm home so I can take my son, and I told her if that's how she feels I'm not taking her son anymore. She screamed at me, but I just hung up. I stuck to my words, and yesterday I didn't take him to school so he had to walk. He ended up being late and my neighbor texted me an angry message about how I'm ruining her son's attendance. My husband noticed the text and asked what it was about. I told him what happened, and he told me that although our neighbor was being a pain in the butt, I shouldn't just refuse to take her son because it's not his fault and it's too far to be walking. Now I don't know if I'm wrong or what to do. I feel like it's reasonable to not want to take him anymore since my neighbor doesn't value what I've done for him, but I also see my husband's point of that it isn't her son's fault and 3 miles is a pretty long distance to walk.